Hi, Lewis Wagner here with Drawing on Earth, and we're going to do another class on two-point perspective.
So, two-point perspective is how to start getting shapes looking like they're in dimension. So we're going to be looking at,
Lewis Wagner here, Drawing on Earth. Another class on two-point perspective because it's so important and complicated. We're going to be looking at how do things live in a three-dimensional world, since everything does. There's 2D, now we're stepping into 3D, and the big point around that is two-point perspective. So we're going to look at drawing something like this, or actually drawing this, and so here we go. So today is two-point perspective, this class, and some of the things you'll need are pencils, a kneaded eraser, I have white pencils, smudge sticks. I'm going to use brushes and some white paint. I'm just using gesso. You don't have to do that. And you also need gray paper. So this is this tone paper. And so the main thing that we're learning to do is to control our whites. So if you start off on a medium tone paper, then you can go lighter and darker. And that is the name of the game. So gray paper. So, oh, and I also have a triangle, and you can use some other stuff if you don't have that. This is a cube. This is a three-dimensional space, right? It has 6 sides, so this is kind of what we're going to be looking at. And right now, when you look at it, you can only see one plane. So this is 2D. This is 2 dimensions. There's width and there's length. If we turn it, then we have 3D. So then we have width, length, and depth. And that's what the world around here is. And that's what we're going to learn how to be seeing it and drawing it and having it as a part of our toolbox. If this piece moves below the horizon line, below there's an invisible line that's right here. We're going to call it our horizon line. And if it goes below that, we can start seeing the top of our shape. And this is everything that's in the world works this way. When it's right on it, we can only see 1 or 2. And then when it's above it, then we can start seeing underneath it. So, and it doesn't matter where this is. If it's over here, then we can see our 3 sides. And, we're looking down at this piece, but it all acts the same way. We can see our 3 sides, 1, 2, 3. So it starts getting complicated when you start doing this. So the next thing is that I've already started a drawing here. So I have a drawing that's 2 sheets of gray paper, and then it's 8 inches by 18 inches. And then I drew, here's the middle of the paper. It's taped with blue tape on the back side. I forgot to say blue tape too in our list. And this is the horizon line. So that means that if we were standing here, this would be our eye level. Or this is where the ocean is. Or this is where everything disappears. If this was 1-point perspective, everything would come from this point, and every single line that we would do would come from this 1 point. And architects and interior designers use it, but it's a pretty limited way of perspective. It's really 2-point perspective. So here I have my 2 vanishing points. And if we were going to do how the world really works, we would have 3-point perspective, which is the XYZ in a computer. And that means that we would have a vanishing point up here or down here somewhere. So then there would be 3 points, they would actually be off the page. There would be 3 points where our shapes would converge. It's all about converging. So every single thing converges to these 2 points, period. I have students that they start making up their own. And what you also don't want to do is have it too close in. Have it far as possible. You could even have it further. So this is great. So then what I've done is I've drawn these cubes in different spaces. So if it's below the horizon line, you're going to see the top of it. And if it's above the horizon line, the whole shape, you're going to see underneath it. And if it's on the horizon line, you're only going to see two sides. So let's take another, so I'm going to draw another line over here. And as long as you have a paper that's 90 degrees or a triangle, this is also, the most important thing is this line needs to be totally 90 degrees from our space. So that's our consistent piece. So I'm going to draw a straight line. This is the line that's closest to us. And then I'm going to terminate it. It begins and it ends. And then every single thing from any of the drawings is going to go to this point or to that point. So I'm going to start drawing light and starting heavy and going light, and start heavy to go light, because I don't need information out there. And this also makes it appear like it's vanishing, it's going away in the distance, right? So everything's going away from us other than the closest edge. So this closest edge. So then I went light to dark. So there I ended it. Now I have two sides. So I'm gonna terminate our end arbitrarily where those endings are. So I can draw over. And you want to just draw light. Draw light, draw light, draw light, draw light, draw light. So we can go over and draw heavier later. You can go over things. So now I have two sides. You can see where they ended. And then these are the main points to look at. And it's the hardest thing to get, is that now I'm going to cross my lines. So that means I'm going to go to the other side and I start heavy and end light. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cross the whole shape and I'm going to go underneath it and I'm going to start and end heavy. So now I have my three sides, which is great. And if I want to clean it up with my eraser, we can do that now or later. It's not as important. I always like to keep some of the lines showing because it's fun. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play and see where that goes. Okay, so here's my drawing that I've done, and I have something that crosses the midline just here in the center. So you can see two sides. And then over here on this side, I can see up underneath it, I can see up underneath it here because these are above the horizon line. And then I can see down and I can see the tops. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put I'm going to light them. And so in general, I'm going to create a light source that's going to come from this direction. So I'm creating it in my mind. And so I have the light from the sky, the top, and then kind of a general directional light. You can make it do anything you want. You could have it come from the middle, but by default, if you start understanding that this is the best way to see things and the best way to light things, then you can start whatever you have, whatever objects you have in your drawing or your paintings, you can actually create them into a dimensional space by controlling your light source. So if the light source is coming down this way, these planes here are going to be the lightest. They're going to catch the most amount of light. So I'm calling this 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Because I'm saying that there's more light coming from this way, then this is going to be my 2, 2, 2. Anything that's on this side, 2, 2, 2, 2. All of these are going to be all of these are going to be lit to have the same value. Then I'm going to say that on this side is my shadow side of the box. So this will be 3, 3. Everything that's on the right side, 3, 3. These will be lit this way, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. And then underneath, looking up, will be the darkest. So that will be 4. So anything underneath, 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 underneath. So now I'm going to create values for this. The way that I'm going to create values is that I'm basically going to leave my 2s the color of the paper. I'm going to use the paper value. So I'm going to basically leave those. And then 3s, when I do a value, I'm actually going to try to do a solid value, and solid as much as possible. So there's one shade. I'm going to do it the opposite direction now. See how I'm keeping all of my lines basically straight? Because that's the way the plane's going. I'm following my lines of the planes. So here too, I'm going to follow the lines of the plane, and it's okay if I go over, because what I'm more trying to do is I'm trying to get a straight. Now a younger artist is going to be turning their lines. I'm going to try to keep it as straight as possible. And there's no perfection, but I'm trying to move my whole arm here instead of just my wrist. If I move my wrist, I'm going to get curved lines. So if I can go out over my space, I can always, well, what I'm going to do then is I will take my smudge stick, actually, and then I'm going to smudge this down, because I want to get all the bumps of the paper out. And you can see how I've come over a little bit, is I can simply take a piece of paper and my eraser, and I can clean it up like this. I can just, and I'm going to do this later, but just as an example, you're going to see what I'm doing. I can always clean up my edges. So now I'm going to work through all of this, and then when I get to this area over here, which is my lights, I'm going to actually put paint in here. I'll start it off with pencil so that you can see what I would be doing, is that I would put pencil. And one of the great ways is to, as you come up to a space, is just go light and then go heavy right up against it. So go light in a gradation and then go heavy right up against it. And it's go light in a gradation and then go heavy right up against it. So I would block out. If I just have a pencil, then that's all I'm going to be doing, is I'm just going to be filling this negative space in pretty cleanly all the way down to this spot. And then I would actually these, because these are my lightest in my planes, I would do these in pencil, but you'll see that I'm gonna add some paint. But I'm trying to get solid, trying to get right up against the edges. So then I can go backwards, and I'm trying to keep my lines in perspective too. So keep my lines kind of going in the same direction. Squinting is awfully helpful, and I can, it's just about getting right into a space and cleaning it up. Later on, you're going to see that I will be putting some different values here on the ground. So this will be a sky and earth. So here's my piece. I've gone in and actually lightened and darkened a little bit of the planes to give it a push and pull. I've used my white pencil to give a little bit of extra line work on it, and I'm just touching it up. Added some kind of I'm softening this back edge, and there's my piece on 2-point perspective.